Good morning. A very simple question to all of you, really. And if I can start with Emily, which was when you were approached to do the documentary, what made you want to be a part of it?
I wasn't even approached initially, I guess. It was on the briefing about Girls State program. It said, hey, if you're interested in being part of a documentary, fill out this form. And I'm an opportunist, so I said, sure, I'll fill out the form. And then that's when the real casting began. And they interviewed us on Zoom, or at least for me, they did, and came to a couple of my gigs and band practices, which is really cool. I thought the crew and directors were amazing. And I had seen, they'd showed me the Boys State movie. And once I saw that, it was definitely something I wanted to get behind just because I saw how this would really offer me a platform later on. And now we're in that era of life, which is really exciting because I think that it's a good way to get started and get your name out there in politics. And it's just such an exciting opportunity.
Absolutely. And Cece?
So I did the same thing. I filled out the form. I got interviewed, and then I didn't end up being followed. So I kind of went through the first 3 days of camp just like being a camper, doing Girls State. And then about halfway through the week, they started following me. And of course, I said yes because I had seen all week people being followed around with the big cameras and mics, and I thought it was like the most exciting thing ever. So I said yes, and then I got followed around, and I'm glad I did because, like Emily said, now we have this really cool platform and just really cool experiences that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
And Nisha?
Yes, so I same thing, filled out the form, did my interviews. I originally wasn't one of the first people to be chosen to get followed around. I think they got back to me around a week before the camp and was like, "Hey, are you still interested?" So yeah, I didn't think it would be a big deal. I didn't actually think I would end up on screen at the time, but it's been kind of surreal in the best way.
And Faith?
My experience was completely different. I attended an informational session out 30 minutes outside of my town in Missouri. And one of the co-producers, Aurora, was there. And after we heard the informational session about Girl State program itself, Aurora stepped up and asked if anybody was interested in being a part of a documentary. Of course, all the girls ran up to her and were like, wait, what? A documentary is being filmed? Of course we want to partake in it. And we sort of did a roundtable discussion. She got everybody's contact information, and Aurora reached out to me later asking to do more rounds of interviews to see if she ultimately wanted to make me a part of the official cast of girls, if you will.
And Cece, if I can ask you, when we see in the documentary that we're all influenced by kind of family and the opinions and maybe our peers. When you get to the program, you really are encouraged to be independent thinkers. Was that something that was liberating for you?
I think so in a way. I mean, I think a lot of my politics does come from my family, but it also comes from just what I care about and what I want to see changed in the world. And I think coming there and just being surrounded by other people who some of them were influenced by their family, some also had the same as me, where it's like a mix. And some people just, no political background. They just really cared about changing the world. And I think meeting those people and seeing different issues, it was freeing because you don't usually have that kind of space. I think a lot of times, especially a weird part of politics in this country is don't talk politics, which I think is something that we need to stop doing. But I think just having a space for talking politics was, in a way, encouraged, was really cool.
Fantastic. And Faith, you were dealing with real life policies. So did that make what you were doing in the program kind of more tangible and more purposeful, really?
I actually would say that Girls State was less about real life politics than I thought it would be. Girls were more so focused on internal processes within the program itself, such as the dress code. Were the utensils used at lunch biodegradable? Or their pronouns on people's name tags, things of that nature. And so I actually kind of had the opposite experience. I was focusing on more outside and external issues. I focused on environmental policy. I focused on adjustments to the criminal justice system, and those weren't being talked about as much. But I think you could see the clear support and the desire to talk about those issues when I give my governor speech later on.
And Nisha, that what I loved about the documentary is that what we see about the human conditions, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows that we experience, and just how resilient we as females are. I mean, was that something that was quite empowering?
I thought it was especially empowering to be in an environment where a lot of people were dealing with the same issues as me, and not just in a political sense, but in a personal sense. Like, we all kind of put way too much expectations on ourselves. We all have the same sort of stresses. We all were very sleep deprived. So it really does make you step back and think, okay, is this realistic for me? Is this something I think these girls should do too? Or is it okay for me to kind of calm down, be human instead of whatever unreachable goal we're trying to be?
And Emily, another what I got from the program, as well as the documentary, was about acceptance and self-acceptance. Was that something that you sort of took away with you as well from being a part of it all?
I would say, if for me, like, that acceptance of not necessarily, I'd say failure, I guess, like acceptance and moving on is something that I took away from the program for sure. Having big goals and being okay, like publicizing those big goals and being aware that you have those goals, but then also if something doesn't work out, not just wallowing in it and instead going on for the next best thing and doing something that is impactful, even if it's not what you originally wanted to do, I think is something that I took away from it. And I hope that others take away from it through watching it.
And a question really for all of you, and I'll start with Faith, if I may. The disparity between men and women, there's still a lot of work to be done, isn't there, really, about equality?
Yeah, the program definitely highlighted the same existing social inequities that we see between the genders. We see it with dress code and various other opportunities. Obviously, we see the fiscal inequality that Emily highlights within her journalism piece that she makes in the film. And I would say it wasn't really a focus of mine throughout the week. I think that I've actually thought more about the inequalities between boys and girls state post watching the film, because that, was a storyline that kind of took over the documentary. But I do think I was thinking about the inequality between women and men within actual politics while I was a part of the program. We had a bunch of female political speakers come in and share their personal experiences, and they were talking about recent experiences that they had had within politics or within their high positions in their businesses or whatever it was. And it's very apparent that there is still work to be done to mend the differences between the genders within politics and the workplace.
And I've got to go very shortly. So my very last question to you is, being a part of the program, how has that informed you for the future? I'll start with Cece.
It's a good question. I think it just kind of gave me more confidence. I feel like I can do a lot more after being part of the program. And obviously being a part of the program and the documentary, I'm on an interview right now. So that's definitely a huge change.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a lot of confidence, and I think it also taught me how to fail. Like, it taught me that I'm capable of moving on after not getting something that I really wanted, and that sometimes I can end up in a place that's as good as, if not better than, what I was originally striving for. That really helped me in everything.
This is destiny, isn't it? And Emily?
I took this away, and I hope that I'll raise my daughter this way, and I want everybody to raise their daughters this way. Tell your daughter that she can do it and she's not at a disadvantage, and tell her to go for it, because that's the biggest takeaway that I'm sad to hear throughout the week, is that a lot of girls were told that they couldn't do something, and I hadn't heard that. And I feel like if we can start perpetuating the idea that you can do it and you can do things as a woman, then maybe that will shift our entire, just the mindset shift will shift the political spectrum as we see it today.
Fantastic. And Faith, finally.
Yeah, I hope to have more deep conversations with people from opposite sides of the political spectrum. I hope to actually and critically think about every single political issue I come across, and I hope everybody has the exact same takeaway from the program.
Fantastic. Thank you, ladies. Goodbye, and best of luck with the film.
Bye-bye.
Cheerio.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey You Guys!
I say. That's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!